I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. First of all, let us introduce what we being the first time. And blessings. From today onwards, up until tomorrow, we finish our course. I'll be teaching this subject, the so-called children with special needs. Children with special needs. I don't know. May I know you? Cynthia Makarana. Thank you very much. Okay, I hope you are aware that this program is batch of early childhood, year 2, and the course itself is children with special needs. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, your course demands or wants you as a student to understand what does it mean when you hear about the way children with special needs. Can you say something on this one? What do you know about children with special needs?
I think we can describe it as children who have disability.
Go ahead. Children who have disabilities. That's all. And what is a disability? Children who have disabilities. I want to know disability. What is a disability?
Not capable of doing something.
Not capable of doing something. So which means that child is disabled. Okay, fine. Now we will know what these children who have disabilities. We need to know. You will know. Okay. So your course wants you as a student to understand children with special needs. Children with special needs. Now if we are to go by the topic of study on the course outline. By the way, do you have course outline? Were you given course outline?
No, I asked you told me, which?
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll provide one. I'll put it on the forum. You'll get it from the forum. I'll send it. Now, from the course outline, that is to say, that's where you're supposed to follow. It's a guide. It's a guide to your course. So if we are to go by the topics that have been put on the course outline for you to study, and for me as well, to guide me on where or on what to do, when and how. So if we are to follow that one, the first one is, or the first topic, because those are topics. The first topic is known as special needs and education. The first topic is talking about special needs and education. Special needs and education. From the topic itself, we can conclude that there is a relationship. There is a relationship between education and special needs. There is a relationship between education and special needs. So we want to know this relationship. How are they related? We know about education. You know about education. But I don't think you know about special needs. I don't think so. Education. What does it mean by the word education? Can you define education?
Getting new knowledge. Getting new knowledge.
Getting new knowledge. Okay, fine. When we talk about education, we're not very far from that one. Education is imparting knowledge in someone. Instilling knowledge or imparting knowledge in someone. Now, it's one of the rights. It's one of the rights of human beings to attain education. Each and every human being is supposed to attain education. But it's very unfortunate that not all people have attained education. It's because of different reasons as to why people fail. Some people haven't attained education. Now, when it comes to attainment of education, there are some challenges which some people get in the course of attaining education. There are some challenges. Some of them could be because of maybe situations they're encountering, like poverty and the like. Some could be because of challenges in their bodies, and so on and so forth. There are just too many factors that can cause somebody not to attain education. And here they are talking about special needs and education. So on this topic, what are you required to know on this topic, the first topic, which talks about special needs and education? You as a student, what are you supposed to know? What are you supposed to understand? Now, below this topic, there is a bulletin 1 which is talking about you are supposed to know the concept special needs. You're supposed to know the concept special needs and types of special needs. You're supposed to know the concept and types of special needs. Concept is not very far from idea. The idea, special needs. The idea, of course, is broad. The word concept is broad, bigger than idea, but it's not very far from idea. The concept of special needs. And after having known the concept and types of special needs, we'll also look at the education of children with special needs and its implications for universalization of elementary education. We'll know them as we go along. Now the question will come, like, who are these children? The so-called children with special needs. Who are these children? Children with special needs. Can you try to highlight on this one? Children with special needs. Children with special needs. Who are these children with special needs?
I think children who are deaf.
Who are deaf? Okay, thank you very much. Let us put these children in the right definition. Children with special needs. A child is one person. Children more than one. And if something is more than one, it's a group. Right? So we want to see this group of children who are regarded to be in a special group. They are saying, this is a separate group. Let me put it down. Children with special needs. This is a separate group of so children with special needs simply means this is a separate group of children who have special education needs. Is a group, and this group has been separated. It's a group which has been separated, and this group has children who have special education needs. The children who are belonging into this group, the so-called special needs group, these children have special education needs. They have special educational needs. I'll paraphrase special education. Special education. The question could be, we know education is supposed to be attained by everyone. Why now we are having special education needs? Why now we are having children who are supposed to get special education? Why? What's the problem with this kind of a group of children? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Why these children are supposed to attain or to get special kind of education? The answer is very simple. It means these children have problems. Anyone who is supposed to acquire a special attention, it means has a problem. Has a problem. Has a problem. So I've said I'm interested in special education. Special education is often seen as an alternative to ordinary schooling. When we talk about special education, it's often seen as an alternative to ordinary schooling, which acts as separate supplement to general education provision. It's not ordinary schooling. It's not ordinary schooling when we talk about special education. It's an alternative. It's an alternative to ordinary schooling. That is the meaning of special education. Special education is often seen as an alternative to ordinary schooling, which acts as separate supplement to general education provision. Now I have with me here some definitions on the same, on special needs education. There are some authors, like for example the Minister of Education right here in Malawi, from what they produced. This is from the ministry. The definition is coming from the Minister of Disability. That was in 2006. The way how they're defining special education, they're saying these are instructions and services which are designed or tailored to meet unique needs of learners with disabilities. They are instructional services which are designed or tailored to meet unique needs of learners with disabilities. That is to say, if we are in a class of students whereby some of those students are body able, whilst others they are disabled, only those with disabilities will receive a kind of or a special attention when it comes to educating them or when it comes to education. They will receive a different kind of attention because of their disabilities. No wonder the Minister of Disabilities has described special needs education as instructions and services which are designed or tailored to meet unique needs of learners with disabilities. So the provision of this special needs education is very helpful because it assists learners with different problems to acquire knowledge or to acquire education. There are some reasons which make these people to be in this group or to fall under this group. It could be because they have emotional neglect or they have traumatic experiences, or again they are impaired. These could be the experiences which these learners who are supposed to acquire special kind of education are going through. It could be their understimulation or social emotional neglect, traumatic experiences, or they are impaired. That's why they're supposed to acquire or to get special education, or they need special education. And any learner experiencing difficulties in the learning process is called special education need learner. Any student who has some challenges when it comes to learning process, that learner is known as special educational needs learner or student. But we should be very careful enough. When there is a presence of disability in a learner or a student, that is not a sufficient reason to initiate special needs education service or services, though assessment has to be done. That is to say, you are in a classroom, you've seen somebody who has a disability. That is not enough. That is not enough to provide special kind of education to such kind of a student. Unless an assessment is supposed to be done to see what kind of a problem that particular student has. A kind of attention when it comes to special needs. That's not enough. But first of all, you need to assess, to know, in order to know what kind of a problem this particular student is having. It could be hearing impairment. You go to the hospital, for example, you go to the hospital, you meet with the doctor. I'm sick. Can you explain your sickness? Then they're giving you liniment. Is that all? No, it's supposed to assess you to find out what is the root cause of this headache. And by the end of that examination, that's when you may decide to give what kind of medication should be given to you. That's why here they are saying presence of disability is not a sufficient reason to initiate special need education services. Though assessment has to be done before registering Elena as special education needs. Assessment has to be done to register what kind of problem that particular person has. Therefore, is supposed to be called a special education needs. Not just by the look of the face of that particular problem. How many students? Then you call him a special needs education learner. No, make an assessment first. You need to know those things. I don't know if there is any question before we go any further. No question. So we have known what special needs and education is all about. Let us have a look at the types of special needs. The types. Okay, but before we go to the types, let me a little bit say something on this one. There are some services that are related to special needs education. There are some services that are related. These services are assistance that are provided to children with special needs. These services, they are assistance that are provided to children with special disability, children with disabilities, to help them in their ability to learn and function in their restrictive environment. There are some services. These services are taken to be assistance. It may include sometimes the counseling. Counseling is one of the services that can be provided to children with disabilities. Another service could be computer orientation to students with impairments. It's another service. Speech therapy can also be given to children with disabilities. Physical therapy can also be given to children with disabilities to assist them in their ability to learn and function in their restrictive environment. The list is endless. There are so many services that can be offered to such kind of children. The idea of providing those assistance is to make them be able to learn and function in the restrictive environment. Why do you think these services are important? The services which I've just mentioned, why do you think they are important? They are important because they provide an alternative to life functioning. They're important because they provide an alternative to life functioning. They're also important because they reduce dependence on others all the time. You have provided assistance to a person with physical disability. By doing that, it means you have reduced dependence on others all the time. For instance, those people who are having difficulties in mobility, you can provide them with wheelchairs. That is the service. If that person is going to have a wheelchair, he will not depend on others all the time. He will be in a position to push by himself to the classroom or to wherever he wants or she wants to go.
That's life functioning.
They reduce dependence on others, right? Okay. They provide an alternative to life functioning. Those extra services which are being given to these people, it means they are there to provide alternative to life functioning. Again, another importance of such kind of assistance is that they bring confidence and self-esteem to children with disabilities. They bring confidence. The moment you provide assistance to such kind of children, they're going to feel confident and self-esteem. Again, such services or assistance, they reduce discrimination of the disabled. They reduce discrimination of the disabled. And again, if those services which you are going to provide to them, they are going, some of the things which they will do by themselves. It means they'll be in a position to push the idea that disability is inability. They are going to push. Okay, so that is the importance of extra services which can be provided to children with special needs in trying to make them be able to learn and function in a restrictive environment. I don't know if you have any question. If you don't have any question, allow me to continue. Any question? No question. Okay, so they're saying special needs education is guided by a policy. Special needs education is guided by a policy which emphasizes on the equalization of opportunities for persons with spectrum of impairments. A guide of special education, special needs education is a policy. And this policy is aimed at emphasizing the equalization of opportunities. Each and every human being, despite the fact that you have a disability or you don't have, when it comes to attainment of opportunities, since we are all human beings, we're supposed to attain the same opportunities. So these policies are there to help to guide special needs education. And for equalization to be a success, there is need for inclusive education policy, which was introduced to be emphasized on the participation and achievement of impaired students. For equalization to be a success, there is a need for inclusive education policy. Of course, it was introduced, and this one emphasizes on the participation and achievement of impaired students. Here in Malawi, on the participation and achievement of impaired students. And in concurring with that, whatever I've said or I've talked about inclusive education policy, in concurring with this, there is a Salamanca statement and framework for action, which was signed in 1994, and it's stating that a regular system must accommodate special education needs learners and teachers in such settings. The setting they're talking about, inclusive setting, inclusive education setting, which must use children-centered methods, which is also known as pedagogy.
Is it 1964?
1994. Yes, the Salamanca statement and framework for action. This one states that regular system must accommodate special education need learners and teachers in a setting, and that setting is inclusive setting, which must use child-centered method. And this one is known as pedagogy. Furthermore, Millennium Development Goals state that all goals can't be achieved unless disabled people are included in the implementation endeavors. That's what the Millennium Development Goals are saying. They are demanding everyone, including persons with disabilities, are supposed to be taken on board if you want to achieve these goals. These people are also supposed to be included in the implementation of endeavors. We also looked at what the course outline is talking about after the concept. After having known the concept, special needs and education, you're also required to know the types of special needs. In line with your program, you are required to know the following types or categories of special needs. Types of special needs education. Number one, you are required to know the visual impairment. Visual impairment or disability. Visual impairment or disability. According to a certain author that the name is Scroll. From the paper which Scroll wrote in 1986, he defines visual impairment as malfunctioning of the eye. Malfunctioning of the eye to see properly due to congenital He defines visual impairment as the malfunctioning of the eye. Malfunctioning of the eye to see properly, which means the eye is failing to see properly. Why? This is due to congenital traumatic and diseases. These could be the causes of malfunctioning of the eye. Still on visual impairment, they're talking about the categories of the damage of the eye. Could it be total blindness? Among the same, malfunction of the eye, that's all the disease of the eye. They're talking about total blindness, there is low vision, and also computer syndrome. Now the question could be, how can I identify students with a visual impairment? How can I identify them? How can you identify that this student is having visual impairment? This is a process. It's a process, and this process goes into some stages. If you want to identify visual impairment or visual impaired students, it goes into several stages. Stage number one, what are you supposed to do if you want to identify a student who is having visual impairment? The first step or stage which can be used is detection. And on this level or stage, it means the eyes are having problems, or they are suspect to have a problem. Thus, eye problem suspected. Again, on the same, there is this observation of behaviors. That's mannerism. You can start looking at a student or somebody who is being suspected to have visual impairment, the way how he behaves, probably when he reads, if he's reading something, look at him, how he is reading the article or the books, the way how he is putting the materials before him, the way how he's behaving. Apart from that one, you're also supposed to look for signs of healthy eye. Look for signs of healthy eye. How does it look like? If an eye is healthy, how does it look like? So this is detection. The idea is you want to detect if this student is normal or abnormal, if he's having a problem or not. Now, examples on the detection, What are you going to notice? You're going to notice the following things. Hyperactiveness, we're going to notice hyperactiveness. Apart from that one, eye twisting, the way how he's reading, maybe he does like this. So eye twisting, sometimes turning of the head, turning of the head. Sometimes if you are in the classroom together with the students, as we are right now, a student is probably striving to see details on the board by trying to be close, too close maybe, or far away from the board, blackboard or chalkboard. Striving to see details on the board is finding difficulties. Some students like sitting in front, whilst others behind, far away from the board or very close to the board. That's stage number one of identifying students with visual impairment. Second stage is visual screening. Visual screening. On visual screening, you categorize visual acuity. Categorize visual acuity, accuracy. That has to do with accuracy. I can see you are behind those glasses, which means you this one, you explain. You went to the doctor, right? Eye doctor. So you went through this screening in order for you to know which sizes of your lens are supposed to be given to. So categorize visual acuity. Again, on the same, there is this providing referral to the doctor, eye doctor. Stage number 3, in trying to identify the visual impairment, is clinical assessment. Clinical assessment. What is being done on this stage? On this stage, examinations and diagnosis do take place. On clinical assessment, which means examination and diagnosis are done. To add on to that, treatment with eye pills is also given. Treatment with eye pills is also given. Correct spectacles are also given. Correct spectacles are also given. Another stage is placement. Another stage which can be used in order to identify visual impairment in students is placement. Placement, under this, there is providing educational need. You've known the problem which this particular student is having. Therefore, you choose a kind of educational assistance which is supposed to be given or which is supposed to be provided to that particular learner. Again, under this placement, there is also providing of or provision of compensatory programs. Compensatory programs, providing compensatory programs. These are programs which are supposed to be given to the person. Another level which falls under this in trying to identify visual impairment is training. The level of training, how to use available vision. Training is supposed to be given to such kind of a person or a learner in trying to find out the kind of impairment. That's how to use available vision. How to use available vision, and the second one, how to use spectacles. He's supposed to be trained on how to use spectacles and also to take good care of those spectacles. You don't just give him or her spectacles without even explaining on how to take good care of such kind of spectacles. The final stage, not the final one, last but one, follow-up. All is being done. All those processes have been done. What next? Monitor any change in child ability. You're supposed to monitor any change in child ability. You're also supposed to train both teachers and students on visual skills. Teachers are also supposed to receive training on visuals. To do with visual. Train both teachers and students on visual skills. Again, under this follow-up, there is distribution of low visual devices and other specialized equipment. Distribution of low visual devices and other specialized equipment. The last point which falls under follow-up is supporting both teachers and students in any problem areas. If still there will be any problems which teachers as well as students will be facing, support should be given to them So supporting both teachers and students in any problem areas. The last stage on how to identify students with special impairment is providing makeup lessons for equalization to visually impaired students. Providing makeup lessons for equalization to visually impaired students. Type number 2 of impairment is hearing impairment, HI. The first one was VI. In short, they call it VI. The first one, in short, is known as VI, visual impairment. The second one is HI, which is known as hearing impairment. VI or hearing impairment. In short, this is when a person is facing hearing problems. This is when a person is facing hearing problems. So the hearing problems range from slight to complete deafness. The hearing problem ranges from slight to complete deafness. It is discovered that many people do have hearing problems, and many of these people do not know about this. A lot of people, they're having hearing problems, but they take time to know. And sometimes they just think probably since we are aging, that could be the reason why we have such kind of problems, without knowing this problem started a long time ago. And always early intervention is very important. If you feel kind of like you have problems in hearing, it's better to rush to the hospital, because the earlier the better. And again, early intervention is very important. We have to be tested. We have to be tested so that we know our hearing range. Many of our students have hearing problems, and they are on a slight stage. They are on a slight stage. And I believe we see some students in classes that usually say, "Can you repeat?" That's a problem. I didn't get you. Sir, oh madam, can you repeat? That's a problem. It's a slight stage, that one. I haven't heard you. Some like to come and sit in front of the class so that they can get whatever the teacher is saying, or is teaching, or is doing. That's a problem. Some have just accepted their condition. They've just accepted their condition. And they don't get anything in class. And once they usually fail exams, that's when probably they start regretting. Probably. If had it been I went early on to the teacher and explained, or if had it been I went to the hospital when I was just starting feeling like I don't hear properly, I would have been said, too late. Too late. It's because you just accepted the condition in which you were and been rushed to the hospital for intervention. That one will save you. And due to some problems, many students with hearing impairment are troublesome. This comes as a defensive mechanism from both teachers and fellow students. Most of them, they're very troublesome. They're very troublesome. And this comes as a defensive mechanism from both teachers and fellow learners. Now, how can someone become hearing impaired? What would be the cause of this hearing impairment? How can somebody or someone become hearing impaired? Or in short, what could be the causes of this hearing impairment? It could be you were born with it. It could be you were born with it. It could be due to accident. You were involved in an accident. You were involved in an accident, and that accident has caused that to happen to you. Sometimes, and especially this happens to those people who like poking in their ears. It is either due to poking in the ear using unrecommended materials such as matchsticks and others. Poking. Matoko mkutu, matenga maki, agari moto kama jana. Mpaka makabola nazo yetu. It is sometimes either due to taking heavy medicines such as those used to treat tuberculosis. Those tablets are very powerful. Those tablets which are used to treat tuberculosis or meningitis, etc., etc. So medicine sometimes can also destroy your hearing system. Sometimes hearing impairment can be caused by making holes on our ears for earrings. Probably you once saw somebody, a bola, I'm a bola kulosi, mpaka. You can also damage your hearing system.
What's that point?
That point, I've said, I was talking about how can somebody become hearing impaired. Or it is by making holes on our earrings. Now, how can we help somebody or a student with deafness? A deaf student, how can we help them? Wow. We are looking for ways of helping a student with deafness. One, let him sit in front of the class, just like how we've done it now. I don't mean to say you're deaf. Everywhere. Two, the class has to have enough light so that students can read you. Those students, especially those who are using sign language, they want to see how the lips are flowing, are moving. So the classrooms are supposed to have enough light to enable those guys to see our lips. And again, as a teacher, you're supposed to increase voice when teaching. Speak louder. If you know how to use sign language, use sign language. So use sign language when teaching. Furthermore, students are encouraged to go for assessment of hearing aids. Assessment of hearing aids. If you suspect a student to have hearing problems, it's better to refer that particular student to the hospital, the specialist, for thorough examination. Again, early intervention reduces chances of problems to reach critical stages. Early intervention. Early intervention. Okay, chances of the problems to reach a critical stage. The last point is inclusive education is the option that can help students with hearing impairment to reduce discrimination. You know, such kind of students, oftentimes they are being discriminated against. So inclusive education is the option. It's the option that can help such kind of students. Type number three. learning difficulties. Have you written that one? Learning difficulties? Okay. Tab number 3. On this one, they have put special learning difficulties to say special learning difficulties. Special learning difficulties. This is when a student or learner is able, that's okay, yes. This is when a student or learner is able to do well in some areas, not all areas. They'll say, is it special or specific? Put specific. No specific. Specific learning difficulties. 1. That's 1. We are looking at learning difficulties. And the first one, on that one, is specific learning difficulties. And this is when a student or a learner is able to do well in some areas of learning. Some areas of learning, not all areas of learning, but some areas of learning. But have problems with other areas. In some areas, is doing well, but or whilst in the other areas, is finding difficulties. For example, they may have difficulties in calculating or mathematics, calculating mathematics or mathematical problems. For instance, or for example, they may have difficulties in calculating mathematics, but do better in English and other subjects. So they may have difficulties in calculating mathematics, but do better in English or other subjects. Now, under this type or group of specific learning difficulties, this one has types. There are some types which fall under this specific learning difficulties. Types of specific learning difficulties. The first example is known as dyslexia. Dyslexia. And this problem is difficulties in learning to read visual processing orders. Or in short, this is a visual processing disorder. Sometimes you see like right N is like this, but instead you put like this. E instead of Y. Instead of writing this, you put like that. That's difficulties in learning to read visual processing disorder or visual processing disorder. this one is dysgraphia. Dysgraphia, this one is a problem in writing and poor handwriting. Poor handwriting. Difficult in writing and graphing or poor handwriting. Another one is dyscalculia. It's going to calculation. That's failing to calculate or inability to perform mathematical calculations. Inability to perform mathematical calculations. Another one is autism. Autism, that's developmental disability that primarily affects social interaction. It's a kind of disability that primarily affects social interaction. Language and behavior. Another one, dysautonomia. 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 This is difficulties in expressing thoughts, failing to express yourself. Expressing your thoughts, dysautonomia. Another one, the last one. The list is just too big. Should I give you, or should just say this one? It's the Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's syndrome, this is a set of physical conditions that shows being diseased or having medical problems. A set or a group of physical conditions that shows being diseased or having medical problems. That's Asperger's syndrome. So these are some examples of specific learning difficulties. And I've said specific learning difficulties is when a student or a learner is able to do well in some areas of learning, whilst in the other areas is failing. Be in a position maybe to solve problems which are to do with calculation, whilst failing to do better in other subjects. Now, what would be the characteristics of specific learning difficulties? How can you know that this somebody or this student is having specific learning difficulties? How can you know? A good characteristic, of course, they vary. Spellings, when it comes to spellings, you may know that this student is failing to write. As I've earlier on given you this example, instead of writing E like this, he turns it the other way around. So spellings, writing, reading, number skills. When he's having difficulty in these things, how to spell a word, how to write a word, how to read. A person who falls under specific learning difficulties has low intelligence, emotional behavior problems, culture or social problems. He has low intelligence, emotional behavior problems. They also have culture and social problems. Again, the person who falls under this, or a student who falls under this category, is having speech and language problems. He's having speech and language problems. And again, he has poor memory. He has poor memory. He has poor memory. He also has short attention span. He also has short attention span. Another example of a learning difficulties, a student or students with learning difficulties, apart from the first one you have just said, specifically learning difficulties. The second one is intellectual disability or disabilities or mental retardation. Intellectual disabilities or mental retardation. On this one, intellectual disabilities or mental retardation simply means is a substantial limitation in present levels of functioning reflected in delayed intellectual growth. Mental retardation. Mental retardation is a substantial limitation in present levels of functioning. The present levels of functioning reflected in a delayed intellectual growth, limitation in present levels of functioning reflected in delayed intellectual growth, and is manifested and is manifested in an appropriate or immature reactions to one's environment, and below average performance in academic, psychological, social, linguistic and social domain. Below average performance in academic, psychological, physical, linguistic and social domain. You can agree with me. When we're talking about intellect it has to do with thinking upstairs there. So if a person has a problem upstairs, definitely this one is going to affect the performance of doing different things. Even in school, you may face some problems. You may face some problems, or you have some limitations when it comes to maybe decision making or arriving at decisions which are supposed to be made properly. Now, under this, could be categorized into the following levels which will fall under the mental retardation. The levels could be mild, moderate, severe, and profound. Mild, moderate, severe, and profound. The third example which falls under the learning difficulties, that's number 3, is communication difficulties. And I think for today we're going to stop on this one. Is communication difficulties. On communication difficulties, communication is the way of conveying information from a source to a receiver. When there's a conversation between two people or more than two people, which means a communication is a method of conveying information from a source to a receiver. And when this is being done, it requires that communicating parties, especially the sender and the receiver, share an area of communicating commodities. When there is a source and a receiver, it's a two-way channel, whereby it requires that the communicating parties, who the sender and the receiver, they have to share an area of communicating commodities. So like communication processes are completed when the receiver has done what? Has understood and reactions have taken place. That's in communication. The sender and the receiver. Sender of information and the receiver of information. So they must be in line to understand one another. And the message which is going to be communicated to one another. So communication as a process is supposed to be completed when the receiver has understood and the reaction has been given back to the source. So feedback is critical. In any communication, feedback is critical or is important to effective communication between parties. Feedback. You are supposed to give a feedback. But where there is learning difficulty, if these things which I've just mentioned here, they don't take place, it means there's a problem. If these things I've just mentioned, if in these two, the sender and the receiver, they are not in good terms, they are failing to understand one another, then there's a problem. It happens. A teacher is a source of information. It's giving information to students. If students are failing to understand, then there is a problem. How do you learn? There's a problem. I hope for today, let us stop there. I don't know if there is any question. No question. Thank you.
Can I take a look at that?
Oui. Ils ont pas mal d'états.